let's get started. So today we're covering heel pain specifically, but the entire foot. Specifically, it's technically called plantar fasciitis, which affects the whole bottom of the foot, but most commonly people feel it right at the heel. And often when you have plantar fasciitis, people tell you to roll the bottom of your foot with a golf ball or with a frozen water bottle or something like that, which can help sort of temporarily, but then you find yourself having to roll every single day to get that temporary relief for months and months without really making long-term progress. So this is a good alternative to that. It's more whole body, everything's connected, it's more resolving the root of why that pain might be there. So just a really quick sort of anatomy lesson. That plantar fascia that covers the bottom of the foot actually starts from sort of a web of connective tissue that runs down the whole back side of the body. So all the way down your back, it would go through your glutes, down the back of your leg, down your calf, and then wraps around the bottom of the foot. So it's literally all connected. It's one long piece of fascia. So if it's tight on one area, it can pull farther down at the heel or at the bottom of the foot. So that's why we're going to be working on everything at the back side of the body, starting from the lower back down. So I've got two piles of stuff here for today, a little bit more equipment than normal. So on this side of me is stuff that you most likely need. And then these things, sorry, this is supposed to be over here, is sort of optional. So things you will need is you'll need a foam roller, either a full one like I have or a half one. You will need a big bath towel, and you will need a dowel or a broomstick. As always, if you don't have any of these things, even though they, they're not required, I can give you other suggestions of what you can do if you don't have this stuff. But that sort of will get you started really nicely, those three things. And then the optional things, just to help make it more personalized, I'm going to use a softball, so just a little bit bigger. I also have a lacrosse ball. And then if you are really sore and you know your muscles are really tender and really tight through your calf, your lower body, anywhere, you can use a hand roller. So this just allows you to be more gentle and modify your pressure more. We have pretty much all of these things for sale in the clinic, so if you don't have any of these and you want one, just let us know. And we have, pretty much everything except the dowel. We don't sell towels. So that is what we're going to need for today. Excuse my little bit of a hoarse voice and congested sounding. I had a little bit of a head cold, just a regular harmless head cold about a week ago, and just the voice is still gravelly. Okay, so we're going to start with the towel at our low back, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll that towel up. The thicker you roll it, the more intense this is going to be. So you sort of decide how tight your low back is. What I'm going to do is fold it this way and then roll. You can always test this out for, a few seconds and then see if you need to change it. So you've got some sort of roll that looks like that. Let me just straighten my camera a little crooked. And we're going to start at that fascial chain that I was talking about. It actually does go all the way from the skull all the way down, but we're just going to work on the bottom half of it. So we are going to start at the low back. You're going to be laying on the towel with it right above the hip bones. So get it horizontally on your yoga mat or wherever you're doing this. You're going to have your bum behind it, and then you're going to go ahead and nice and slowly and gently lay back over top. You also might find that the surface you're on makes a difference. I'm on a really hard surface. If you're on carpet, you might want to roll the towel a little bit thicker. And we're just going to hang out and rest and relax here. Taking some nice big deep breaths. It should just feel like a good trigger point massage, sort of self-release. As always, any of the rolling that we do shouldn't be really painful. If you find you're holding your breath or clenching your jaw or making a face, then that is too much and your body is going to be going into protective mode, defense mode. So we don't want that. We want it to be very tolerable, that you can relax through it. Make sure that your sit bones, your bum, is still on the ground. You're not lifting.
So this is causing your back to arch a little bit. And you're welcome to re-roll that towel if you want it thicker or not as thick. Just go ahead and take a break. And remember, this should be really nice and low, almost at the top of your hip bones. We don't want it up in your low back. And then as things start to release, you can just take your knees to one side, really nice and slowly. And you can pause wherever you feel you need to, wherever there might be a tight spot. Or we're just putting more pressure on one side of your low back. And remember to relax. Take this opportunity to take some nice big deep breaths. And whenever you feel ready, go ahead and come back to center and then slowly to the other side. You can either go all the way or you can pause if there's a tight spot in the middle. Totally up to you. I find a lot of people that have this heel pain actually have a bit of a flat low back. We should have a little bit of a natural curve in our low back. And sometimes that fascial chain down the backside gets so tight that it causes our low back to sort of flatten out, which isn't good for our back or our hips or for the rest of that fascial chain all the way down. So go ahead and just move side to side a little, loosening that up a little more. And then when you're ready, you can either sit up or you can roll all the way to your side and get up that way. You can put your towel to the side. We'll use it for one other thing later on, but for a very different purpose. And you can go ahead and grab your foam roller. And we're going to roll our glutes. Heavenly. So, you've got your roller. You're just going to sit on it. From there, you're going to cross one leg so that your ankle rests on your knee. The same side that's crossed, that hand is going to be on the floor behind you. So you're sort of leaning into one side or one hip. And you're just going to roll on that glute. Again, try to find a pressure that, feels good. You can feel it. Feels like it's releasing something, but isn't killer or anything like that. And you can either roll back and forth over top of those tight spots, or you can just stay still and hold if that feels good too. And if this is really, really killer for you, you can always try doing it on a softer surface. So on carpet, even on a bed, that sort of thing. And if crossing your leg feels like it's too much, you can bring that leg down so that it's just sort of resting near the other foot. So that's an option as well. But above all else, just listen to your own body and do what feels right. And just experiment by sitting up really tall and getting the roller right down low by your sit bones, and then leaning all the way back and getting the roller up high at the top of the hip bones. So just sort of explore the whole area. And when you're feeling good, go ahead and switch to the other side. Again, cross the leg. That hand, same side, is on the ground. And we're just going to gently roll through the hip. Again, make sure you're exploring the whole area, all the way to the outside of the hip, down low by the sit bones, up high. You never know what you're going to find and what might be tighter than you realize. Okay, go ahead and finish up that side. And we're going to continue to work down that fascial chain, getting closer towards the foot. So I'm going to use the softball to roll the back of my leg, the hamstring. If you don't have a softball, you can still use the roller, or you can use your hand roller. So if you're using the hand roller, you're just going to be sitting with it behind your leg, rolling like that. That's a nice thing to do if it's really tender. That can be a much more gentle version, and hence why I like the hand roller so much. It's really handy if you hurt yourself and something's really, really tender on that given day. So I'm going to use the softball. I like just the bigger rounded surface to get in there. And I'm going to start up sort of high. So I'm sort of up close to the sit bone. I'm going to bend one leg, and again I'm just going to be rolling. And as usual, explore the whole area, see what feels tight. And if you find a really tight spot, you can just rest back down on the ground and relax. If this still isn't enough for you and you want more pressure, you can cross your legs. And this can be sort of really surprisingly tight. The reason I prefer the softball to the foam roller for this one is just that rounded surface tends to get in there a little bit better. I find with the foam roller you can roll your hamstrings and not really feel much and think, oh, my hamstrings are perfect, they're not tight at all. So it might be misleading. And as it loosens up, just feel free to move to different areas. We're not going to go any lower than the knee, so we don't want to be right at the back of the knee joint. That's a really delicate area, so make sure you stop just above the knee. Remember to breathe if you happen to be on a particularly juicy spot. And remember, if it's too painful and you're tensing up, there's always other options. You can either do this on a softer surface, or you can switch to a different rolling tool, whether it's the roller, the hand roller. So never feel like you need to suffer it out. I know sometimes we think no pain, no gain, and we think that that's a good thing, but again, we want our bodies to relax, not to tense up and fight against us, which can happen if you're causing a significant amount of pain. So whenever that side is feeling good, go ahead and switch to the other side. Again, I like to start up nice and high, as close to my sit bone as I can get. Bend the other leg and then start to explore. I'm just rolling towards the wall. I'm going to move into the middle here. And just sort of make note of how one side feels compared to the other for all of these things. If you only have heel pain on one side, make note of whether that side is more or less tight. The more we can get to know our bodies here, the more we can become experts in our own bodies and help ourselves. So you start to finish up that second side. And you probably guessed it, we're going a little lower. We're going to move into the calf. So you have a whole bunch of options for the calf. Almost everything that we've used so far could be used on the calf. So you can use the regular big roller, you can use the softball, or I'm going to use the lacrosse ball just because it's a little smaller for the smaller area. I can get in there a little bit more. But again, if you know your calves are really, really tight and are really sore, then maybe choose something that's a little bigger, a little more gentle. But you're always welcome to switch it up after testing it out. Excuse me. You're not obligated to stay using that same rolling tool. So same thing, I'm going to start at the top of the calf with one leg bent and then start to roll around a little. Start to explore side to side. Moving my way downwards as well. Again, I like the rounded rolling tools a little bit better, the softball or the lacrosse ball, because they just get in a little more. Get into some deeper tissue. And as you can see, the other thing you can do is move your foot back and forth, toes to nose, and then point downwards. And that just puts that tissue, that fascia, on stretch and then relax, which helps it loosen up. A reminder to relax. Relax your toes, relax your jaw. And whenever you feel ready, go ahead and switch to the other side. With this one too, if you want more pressure, you can again cross your ankles. I find it tends to be tender enough that personally I don't need that. But you choose to do what feels right for your body. Make sure you've gotten that whole area. Explore anywhere that you've maybe neglected. And then next we're finally going to get to the foot, which should already feel significantly better, significantly looser. Good. Okay, so this next one can be a little bit painful, especially if you have pretty bad plantar fasciitis or heel pain. The other thing to keep in mind is some people, the plantar fascia attaches to the heel and it can pull. And if that's been there a long, long time, it can lead to a heel spur, which is just a little bit of extra bone growth on the heel.
but it can turn into like a dagger. So be gentle with this one, listen to your body. If it's too painful, then I'll give you a different option. I know it might seem smart to roll on the heel right where it hurts, and if that feels okay for you and it's not excruciating, then all the power to you. But sometimes it hurts in a bad way, so just be mindful of that. Then if you do have a heel spur or any kind of bone growth or might potentially have something there, then just be cautious of that. What I'm going to do is use my dowel, or if you guys have a broomstick or something a similar shape, I'm going to put it on the ground. And I've done this before with just the dowel alone, and it's good but a little intense. So for us today, because we're talking about heel pain, I just laid my towel on top of it to make it a little more gentle. And we're going to be standing. So what you're going to do is, first of all, just get your toes, oh, it's moving around on me. Get your toes on the dowel. So the entirety of your foot is still resting on the ground, but just your toes are up. And ever so slowly, 1 millimeter at a time, we're going to walk forward onto the dowel. Slow, slow, slow. And as it starts to get past the base of your toes, more into your arch, it's going to feel like a really nice, good trigger point. Feel some tight muscles in there. And again, ever so slowly, millimeter by millimeter, we're inching ourselves forward. So now just sort of observe. If this is too intense, then the next time we do it, you're going to double up your towel and make it thicker. If it's not intense at all and you're not feeling it, then you can get rid of the towel. So little by little, I'm just starting to get to my heel. So again, if you have really intense heel pain and you think there might be a heel spur there, I would stop there and skip the heel part. If it feels okay for you just to go a little further onto the heel, then you're welcome to do so. And once you're at the back of the heel, you can just step back off. So go ahead and make any adjustments you feel you need to. Again, if you need to double up your towel like that so it's more thick, go ahead. If you want it more intense, get rid of the towel altogether. If that just did not work for you and it was too painful no matter what you think you'll do with the towel, then you can go ahead and grab your golf ball and you can roll the bottom of your foot. But I find this a little bit more effective because it's better at working on the joints of the foot as well as the fascia and the muscle, whereas the ball sort of just gets the fascia and the muscle. So whichever method you're choosing to do, we're going to do it a few more times. So again, just the toes, and ever so slowly we're moving forward. Remember, it should always be tolerable. You should always be able to relax and breathe through. And once you're at the heel, you can go ahead and come off of it again. Let's do that 2 more times. Hopefully it's starting to grow on you and you're starting to realize that it can feel good. It can feel relieving. It doesn't have to be really painful. Good. And on your own time, whenever you're feeling ready, let's do one last one.
can do a few circles with your feet if that feels good to work it out. We're now going to get our hands involved, and we're going to do a little twist of the foot, bit of a self-massage. So most people, again, when we have foot pain, we tend to roll with a golf ball, and that's about it, which again loosens up the muscle and the fascia, but it neglects the idea that your foot needs to be able to move and twist in other directions, other than just being able to handle pressure. So what we're going to do is start to loosen it up in that twisting movement. If you think about it, when you're standing, if you turn your body, your feet have to twist. If you step on an unstable surface, your feet have to twist. So if you've got these super rigid feet that don't allow that twisting movement, something else has got to give. It's got to pull from somewhere, often the heel. So all we're going to do is we're going to cross one leg, like we did before when we were rolling the glute. It doesn't matter how high it is, as long as you can reach your foot. I'm going to come up a little closer so you can see me. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get a good grasp of your foot, so that your thumbs are sort of at the base of your toes. You should be able to feel those bones at the base of your foot. So you're going to wrap around. I like to interlace my fingers, but it doesn't really matter. Get a really good grip, and then all we're going to do is we're going to twist our foot inwards. Being gentle, being mindful, we're not torquing on it really intensely. Just a gentle twist to the point where you feel like, okay, that's as far as I can go. And this one tends to not be very intense, so if you're not feeling anything earth-shattering, that's okay. You should just feel sort of a nice gentle twist. And we're going to hold that for a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go the other way. We're going to twist, I guess that would be inwards. Doesn't really matter which way you go as long as you twist both directions. So keep in mind that your shin and your knee should be staying relatively still. We don't want to be doing this with our body. We want it to be just the foot moving. So hold that twist. And now we're going to go back and forth. We're going to twist one way, twist the other way. And you might feel some pops and cracks in here. That just means that some joints are loosening up and moving. That's all great. Good, and we're once again going to hold. So twist one direction. I guess I'm going outwards this time. And if you need to switch up your grip because the foot has moved, then go for it. The grip isn't precise as long as you feel like you've got a good hold of your foot. Okay, and now we're going to twist the other way again. So we're holding that twist for at least 10 seconds. And then we're just going to switch to the other side and do the same thing. So again, cross the foot just somewhere that's comfortable where you can reach it. You're going to get a good grasp so that your thumbs are at the base of each toe where those bones are. So nice big grip, and let's twist one direction. See how it feels. Probably feels tight after loosening up the other side. Probably feels like you just can't go as far. Gonna hold for a little bit, and then we're going to twist the other way. Okay, go ahead and move back and forth. Twist inwards and twist outwards. And ideally what we want is that the twist is coming from the whole foot, not just one spot. But we want it all to move somewhat equally. Good, we're going to do another hold, so on the next one, twist as far as you can comfortably and hold that. Gonna hold for 10 seconds or more. And go ahead and go the other way. Should sort of feel like you're wringing out a towel. Good. So just feel how your feet feel after doing those last two things. They should feel significantly looser by now. And now we're going to do a few exercises for the muscles of the foot, because that's all well and dandy to loosen things up, but if we don't provide some support for the foot, next thing we know, it's going to be tight all over again. So we're going to do some toe exercises here. Let me adjust my cameras so that you can see downwards a little better. And excuse my not very pretty foot that you're going to have to look at here. So you don't have to take off your sock for this. You can do it inside your sock. I'm just going to take off my sock just so you can see me a bit better and see what I'm doing. Try to get in both cameras there. So we're going to do some different toe movements. So what we're going to start with is we're going to think about keeping our big toe glued down to the floor, and we're going to lift the other four and lower. And now if that felt impossible, you're welcome to use your hand to help. You're just going to put some gentle pressure on the big toe just to help it stay down. And we're going to do 5 of those. Good. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to think about these 4 toes staying down, and we're going to lift the big toe. So that might be harder for some people. Again, if you need to use your hand, you're welcome to. We're only doing 5. And then what we're going to do is we're going to separate the toes. Trying to think about them all separating equally. We don't want just the pinky toe to move or just the big toe to move, but separate them all. And again, if you have to use your hand just to open them up, you're welcome to. And now this can feel impossible for some people. We often get stuck in these big clunky shoes, which encourage us to not really use the muscles of our toes or our feet very much. So no, it's completely normal if this feels very foreign and very impossible to you. Just work on it. That brain-body connection will be established over time. Okay, so that's 5. And now we're going to squeeze inwards. So I want you to focus on all of these, keeping your toes relatively straight. So we shouldn't be curling under while we squeeze. We should just be going straight in. And again, you can use your hand to guide if you need. 5 times. Squeeze in. Now, if anyone happens to be getting a bit of a foot cramp from doing this, it's because these muscles are not used to working. So try to do it more gently, try to use your hand for help more, or if it's just really not working for you on this given day, feel free to skip it for a later date. Good, so there's 5. So there we go. We're going to do that same series on the other foot now. So again, big toe is going to be down, and we're going to lift up the little toes 5 times. And as always, make note, is this harder on one side than the other? Is it harder on the side that's either more painful or that you have pain? All good observations. Okay, so once you've done your 5, we're now going to keep the little toes down and lift the big toe. Good, there's 5, and now we're going to open or spread the toes. This one is always harder on this foot for me. My pinky toes out to lunch. Also make note if you're feeling other muscles in your body trying to help, trying to kick in. Ideally we don't want that to happen, but when you're first learning, it might happen, so don't worry about it too much. If there's something you can do to encourage that muscle to not help, great. Good, so there's 5 of spreading the toes, and now we're going to squeeze in for 5. Good. Okay, so we're going to go back to the first foot. We're going to do just one more exercise. You'll notice we haven't done anything that curls the toes. We've lifted the toes outwards, inwards. Now we're going to work on sort of more the bottom of the foot. So, for this one, we're going to do it 2 different ways because I want you to feel the difference between using 2 different types of muscles. So what we're going to start with is just curling the toes under. So really, there shouldn't be a ton of thought here. Just think about curling under. You're really focusing more on the part of the foot that's close to the toes and using really the toe muscles. Again, we're going to do 5 of those. You can even sort of dig your toes into the ground for a little resistance, if that feels good, feels helpful. Now once we've done 5, we're going to do the same thing but slightly differently to focus more on the muscles of the arch. So first we're going to just review the idea of arch cupping, or sometimes it's called like the short foot theory. It's just activating these muscles of the arch. So what I want you to do is think about the spot at the base of your heel and at your toes, the base of your toes, and they're just ever so slightly going to move closer together and your arch is going to lift up. So I'm going to do that again if you guys want to watch my foot and see what happens. So there's me relaxed and there's me lifting. It's very, very subtle, but you should be able to feel the muscles in the arch activating. Another good visual is imagine that your foot is a puppet and you've got a string right in the middle at the top, sort of lifting you up a little. You notice my toes aren't doing anything, my toes aren't curling under right now. I just want you to get a feel for that arch cupping. So we're going to do about 5 of those, of the lifts. Holding for about a second or 2 at each one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lift through the arch, do that arch cupping, and then we're going to curl with the toes. And you don't have to go as far with the toes, probably only halfway or 3/4 of the way, and then relax. And that should feel different. It should feel like you're using more so the muscles through the entirety of the foot instead of just down low. So again, arch cupping, lift, and then curl the toes. We'll do 5, arch cupping, and curl. And again, sometimes this might make your foot feel like it's going to cramp. If it is, then don't engage those muscles as hard, try to back off. Or maybe your body just is not ready for this yet today, and that's okay. But still, all the other mobility stuff that we did before is going to be really helpful for your heel pain. So never feel guilty if you need to skip just one exercise in these videos. It's not the be all and end all, it's the sum of everything we do. Good, so there's 5. Let's go over to the other foot. So we're starting just with the curls on the other foot. So don't think about the arch at all, just curl your toes under, sort of as much as you can. Again, we're using the muscles farther down towards the toes. So there's 5, and now we're just going to do the arch cupping. So the toes aren't moving on this one. Think about those 2 points coming slowly together to lift the arch up like a puppet. Lift up 5 times. And sometimes when you're first learning these things, you can think, am I doing it right? I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. So try to just get out of your head a little bit. If nothing else, you're just strengthening that connection between your brain and those muscles of the foot. And as you get more used to it and you get more in touch with those muscles, you'll know that you're doing it right. So just don't overthink it. Okay, once you're done your 5 of arch cupping, then we're going to arch cup and curl. So lift up that arch and then curl the toes under. Might be a lot harder on one foot. You'll find your weaker foot
There we go, that should be 5 for everyone. Good. Okay, so that's all I have planned for you guys today. As you'll notice, we didn't actually do anything directly for the heel. And again, the reason for that is that the problem is not at the heel. It's at the tissue that sort of wraps from the bottom of the foot and through the back of the whole back side of the body. It just happens to be that the weak point there is where it attaches on the heel. So it's pulling from where it attaches on the heel, meaning it's irritated. So we actually don't want to be putting a ton of pressure on the heel all the time because we could just irritate it more and more. If it feels good, you're welcome to do a little gentle self-massage just to decrease your pain at the heel, but be gentle. Again, we don't want to be digging in there. We don't want to be digging in frequently. And really what's going to cause the difference is working on everything else, both the foot down lower and the leg up higher. So keep that in mind. Don't get tunnel vision. There are some other, here, let me bring this up so you can see my face. There are some other videos on the database that have more exercises for the foot. We've done foot and lower body. We did another one for plantar fasciitis. So go ahead and check out all those other videos that are on the membership site. However, again, don't get tunnel vision. Also go and participate with some of the ones that are for the low back and for the hips and for lower body in general. It's all connected and you'll probably feel more benefit from addressing the whole lower body, core included too, than just working on only the foot. So please remember it's all connected. Those are my words of wisdom for you guys today. Hopefully everyone's feeling good. Hopefully your foot is feeling a little looser, and hopefully you have less pain going forward for the rest of the day and onwards. So thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a great day.